This edition of the Focus Cup is brought to you in association with Mintex, breaking with tradition. Hello and welcome to Croft for the 6th event of the 2021 Focus Cup Championship. Before we get underway, let's have a look at the points after our last round at Alton Park. Leading the championship is Simon Rudd. Scott Parkin's not here this weekend. Gary Mitchell is, so too is Lewis Ryan, so their chance to close up the order.
Simon, 2/3 of the way virtually through the season, been a cracking season so far, and now we see a pole position for the first race.
Yeah, it was raining hard. It was all dry yesterday in the test sessions. I got out there and I seemed to get in a zone and enjoyed myself. And I kept thinking I'd go a bit faster than that, go a bit faster than that, go a bit faster than that. And each lap, the times were coming down. I had no idea I was on pole because we don't have any sort of indication from the pit wall and things. So I just went out there and enjoyed myself and drove very, very smoothly. I wanted to, now and again I like to push and get a pole lap, and it just there was one lap out there. I thought, right, I'm going for pole. naughty. So what I did was I thought, yeah, here we go, and I went and I got knocked to like another second and a half off my time, because one of the reasons I'd like to do that, I did it a year or so back with these cars, is if I'm offering advice and telling drivers where to drive on track and things like that, they need to know what I'm talking about. So I like to just it'll prove now and again that, yeah, the old guy can drive.
Now, David, I always say it's good to see new faces on the grid. Now, you're not a new face because you're behind the scenes. You make all this sort of happen with all the mechanical side and so forth. But now you get a chance, certainly for one event this year, to take time out of your schedule to actually get on the grid and have a race. Qualifying done, 5th. How's it feel?
Yeah, really good. I have a lot to do with these cars, and it's nice to actually get out there. It will be the one and only race I do this year, so I asked Simon a while ago, I said if there's a car available for Croft, then I'd like to race, because this is my favourite track. So it's a bit weird, because I feel like I've let the reins go to all the lads, but they're doing a good job, and they're leaving me to do what I need to do behind the wheel. So I'm happy with 5th in quali, that was good. Rain helped, because I'm a bit of a wet weather racing driver, so yeah, we'll go from there, see how we get on in race 1.
Simon, here we are at Croft now as we come into this round leading the championship, so that's good news for you. Now, qualifying done, 6th. What's the story there?
Yeah, obviously leading the championship, so I was hoping to build on that today. I had a boost issue in qualifying, so I didn't have any boost, so managed to sort of drag it around for a P6, but hopefully we've now got the issue sorted and give us a bit more chance in the race.
How do these conditions suit you? We've got lots of rain, lots of greasy track at the moment. We've almost got 2 seasons in a day. The top 3 seem to sort of relish in those wet conditions. How about yourself?
Usually I really like the rain. I've not driven these cars in the rain properly. It was a bit greasy at Silverstone and we did okay. So that was actually my first experience in these cars in the wet, which I would have liked to have been better. But you know, there's no excuses. I've got to go out there and drive it in the races. For me, I'd like it to be dry. I think I was pretty quick yesterday in the dry. But if it's wet, that's the cars that are dealt.
Now, Gary, we normally end up chatting to you because your podium successes have been pretty good this season. Looking at the championship table as we come into this, you're 3rd in the championship. You've got the advantage, I suppose we could say, that we haven't got Scott here this weekend, so there's potential to gain a little bit more on Simon. Qualifying though, 8th. So what's the story behind that?
It was very wet.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
No, a couple of setup changes we carried from yesterday. Went a little bit softer because we didn't think it was going to be as wet, but then obviously while we were out there it got very heavy and lots of standing water, so we had to do a few changes in the middle. and it was just run out of time really. I was taking time off each lap, but it was just I just run out of time.
I was going to say, quite a few of you managed to get some good testing in yesterday, but it was as dry as a bone, and suddenly the heavens opened today.
Yeah, similar to previous seasons, but it's the opposite way around, where we tested in the wet on the Friday and then dry on the Saturday. It's opposite this weekend, so it's we got a lot of dry testing yesterday, but yeah, this morning was a bit of a a bit of a shocker. But no, with the new tyres and everything, everybody's in the same field really, so we're all different pressures, different settings, just seeing how they go. So yeah, just run out of time.
We're running out of time as we head towards the first race. Simon Walton on pole. Mark Proctor is alongside Branko Kiprovski and Lewis Ryan row 2, then David Sharp and Simon Rudd. Robert Morgan and Gary Mitchell row 4 from Simon Watt and Jonathan Baker. The grid completed by Spencer Fortag, Simon Watts, Claire Avis and Richard Avis. But Simon Rudd is in pit lane. There's the car there, left of shot, bonnet up. We can't even think about drop scores because there are none in this championship. That is going to be a little bit worrying for him. Perhaps good news that Scott Parkin is not here. Lights on, out go the lights. Simon Walton and Mark Proctor on the front row of the grid. Branko Kiprovski third, and it's Lewis Ryan that gets the drop on him. David Sharp in the white car with the red and blue stripes on the outside line, challenging for fourth place. Proctor coming under pressure as they go into Clervaux from Lewis Ryan. This is Proctor's home circuit. In fact, it's the home circuit for quite a few of the drivers this weekend. Sharp putting Kiprovski under pressure. Out of Hawthorns they go. Let's hope that Simon Rudd can join in. Keep your eyes peeled for the light blue and white car. Maybe Joy is at the back, so he has made it in. Was there contact there? David Sharp having problems and spearing across the track goes Robert Morgan. Could have been a rollie there. The car did go slightly up. I think we might have a chance to look at a replay. So in car with Robert Morgan, goes over the curve and then just loses it, wet catching him out. Might have gone over, you know, if it was perhaps drier. It would have been a faster exit off the track. Maybe he wouldn't have slid off in the dry, of course, as well, because the curves wouldn't have been. But anyway, Robert Morgan is still going, which is the good news. The bad news is he's dropped quite a few positions as Branko comes under pressure now from David Sharp, the ABS car chasing hard. Sharp piling the pressure on here. Could look for the inside as they come out of Sunny out in towards the complex for the first time. Gary Mitchell is next in the Mintex car. This is where they come up towards the complex. The left-hander brings them into it. Tight and twisty in towards the hairpin for the first time. David Sharp taking a slightly wider line here to grab some momentum as they go up into the hairpin now and dives down the inside line. Branko cuts across. Goes a little bit further on into the hairpin than he wants to, leaves the door open. I tell you what, Gary Mitchell's handily placed here because he's had the wide run round the outside line on the hairpin and now comes down the start-finish straight with the inside line teed up and could well get fifth position here. Mitchell in the Mintex car goes through. Excellent move by Mitchell. Very well thought out here at Croft. Through Clervaux into Hawthorns. So Mitchell into fourth. It's Simon Walton leading for Mark Proctor. Lewis Ryan third. Branko Kiprovski is fourth. So many drivers getting best qualifying performances this weekend. Testament to skill in the wet and also obviously getting to grips with the cars. Branko third, his best. Seventh place, Robert Morgan in car 7, his best. Simon Walton's best of the season, pole position there. 10th place going to Jonathan Baker as well. Starting in 10th position, and I wonder how Simon Rudd is faring. Let's have a look, see if we're going to see a flash. He's still there, Simon Rudd, I think, in behind Claire Avis at the moment in 14th position. So we'll pick up some points, Simon Rudd, but the championship lead taking a little bit of a hit. And I'll come back to the point that although we don't have Scott Parkin here this weekend, you know, a casual viewer might think that Scott Parkin, oh, you can take a weekend off because it's, you know, that's what happens in club racing or national racing in the UK. As Gary Mitchell puts Branko under pressure here, having a look. This is the run down into the, he's on the wrong side as they come towards the complex. That's the outside line, but he might be able to tee up some momentum on the way in, which many drivers do, and might look for a cut through here, but he's under pressure from David Sharp. Spencer Fortag is in behind, and here is Spencer's view. And look at that, we've got Mitchell again, looking for the grip on the outside. This is what he did when he passed David Sharp. But Branko, he's drawing level with Branko. He's got the overlap here. And let's see as they go down the straight. These cars very evenly matched. So Kiprovski, I think he's going to be relegated because Mitchell knew by taking the outside line in the wet. Get told off for saying inside and outside line, so just say outside really. Branko is passed. Good move by Mitchell, repeating what he did on David Sharp. Sharp's now getting into the mix as well. Branko's best qualifying. Don't forget the race 2 features the reverse grid, the different sections of the grid. Each of the 6 places will get reverse. First to 6 get reverse, 6 to 12, and then so on and so forth thereafter. In car with Richard Avis. And Richard making a move on the inside line, so progress here for Richard Avis, who's climbing up, qualified 14th. Did Richard, so really getting to grips with the conditions out here at Croft Circuit and making up some good ground at the moment. There he is in the 77 car. She come through. Next target is Spencer Fortag. David Sharp now having a look at Branko. Let's have a look, see whether David can pick up a move here. Sunny in to Sunny out, and then heading down into the complex. Getting away from those guys at the moment is Gary Mitchell. Simon Rudd still running last, guessing with the problems that he had in qualifying still evident on the car. And I'll come back to the point I was making about drop scores. Most national racing championships, Simon Watts being closed down on by Simon Rudd at the moment. The Cartec car chasing the Corbo machine, and Kiprovski Sharp now trying to do a Gary Mitchell. Looks at the outside line, but Branko nabs the line coming out the outside as they head down the straight. Again, coming back to drop scores, no drop scores in this championship at all. Remember that you get points for qualifying, effectively the same points you score in a race you get for qualifying. So qualifying is in itself a competition. And then same points again for the racing, 30 points for the win and 5 points for each race's fastest lap. Welcome back to Croft. Round 11 of the 2021 Focus Cup Championship. Branko Kiprovski fending off David Sharp for 5th position at the moment. Simon Rudd set a lap time that would have given him 6th position on the grid, but we saw him having problems before the start of the race. The bonnet up on the Cartec machine in pit lane. They have got him out there, but he doesn't seem to have the edge that we're used to seeing from Simon Rudd. Love this shot. This is all an iconic shot for me at Croft, is the pit wall shot. The pit wall here not adorned with lots of fencing, so you can, during the course of the race, sort of hang yourself over it and see the cars going past. As they head down to this corner, Clervaux. Lewis Ryan still 3rd, Mark Proctor in 2nd. The top 3 all local drivers, so probably a little bit of local knowledge thrown into the mix, and the feel-good factor you have racing in front of your home crowd. You can afford to have a few more people around coming to watch your race day. And Lewis, the 26-year-old, has had a very good run in the championship, debuting at Donington Park start of the year with 10th and 8th. Since then has never been too far away from the podium, winding up with the win in round 10 at Alton Park last time out. What a great circuit to bag your first win. Simon Watts chasing Claire Avis at the moment. This is up to Tower Corner. John Baker in the number 10. Claire Avis next up. Simon Watts followed by Simon Rudd. It's all good close quarter action here in these cars, all prepared by the same team, as we've said before. Going to the Simon Rudd predicament, yes, a problem with the car. We'll come back to Simon Rudd because there is our race leader Simon Walton. Mark Proctor hits one of the floppy markers. Lewis Ryan trying to close him down. Procky's had a good run as well. Mark Proctor, if he holds on to this, it will be his best finish in the championship so far. He's had a brace of podia, one of which was at Silverstone race 2, the other one a 3rd position Cadwell Park race 2. So it doesn't matter whether you put Mark Proctor on a fast open track like Silverstone or a very technical track like Cadwell, he will always deliver. Here comes Robert Morgan delivering up the inside line. Morgan's going to make the pass on Simon Rudd. They're side by side. Let's see whether Robert Morgan's got the run he has. Now normally you wouldn't have that necessarily extra speed unless you've got the run out the corner exactly right, and Simon Rudd having problems with the car over the course of the season in any championship. Whether the cars are prepared for you or not, you are going to encounter, on the law of average, you're going to encounter some problems. Now, that's not really going to help Simon Rudd at the moment, but it is a fact of life that you play the law of averages. It is going to happen at some point in the season, and Rudd doing a sterling job here from his problems in the pits at the start of the race to being out on track and racking up some points for the championship, whilst his main championship rival isn't here. Through on the inside line goes Simon Watts past Claire Avis. Claire, the racer from Eastbourne down there in Sussex, long-time supporter of this championship. You can see how much the curbs punish the cars when you hit them. They're in third of these cars. It is enabling the car in front of them to slightly move away now. John Baker in the number 10. Mark Proctor coming out of the hairpin here, lost a bit of time, and it looks like Lewis Ryan is closing in on him. We're getting up towards the closing stages of this race. Fastest lap of the race is with Branko Kiprovski. Branko running well here, set for a decent result. Lewis Ryan, this is not so good news for Mark Proctor, who's been closed in on. Through Hawthorns we go. Lewis Ryan still there. Gary Mitchell is still in fourth place, and Robert Morgan has got that line now on Claire Avis as they come down the straight, and that surely is going to put the safety devices car up another position. So Claire Avis drops down to 13th place. Very neat move by Robert Morgan, and some of the drivers really making the most of that outside at the hairpin to find a bit of grip in the damp conditions and then use that to hold on and grab the inside line at the end of the long start finish straight. Claire Avis running well. John Baker meanwhile involved as well with Simon Watts. So Watts, who passed Avis a couple of laps ago, looking on the inside line here, heading to the Jim Clark S's here at Croft, and then double apex sunny in, sunny out corner. This is for 10th place. Simon Waugh is ahead of those. Haven't seen Simon Waugh yet. Spencer Fortang in the number 4 car up ahead of them. The top 6 at the moment, rounded out by David Sharp. So David Sharp potentially on pole position for race 2. Remember, it's groups of 6 that get reversed. Again, innovative stuff from Focus Cup. And look at this battle for second position. Lewis Ryan piling the pressure on the Powermax car. So the K&N machine has closed up big time. Gary Mitchell not that far away. Branko Kiprovski is in the mix as well. Branko not that far away. Gary Mitchell will put pressure on Lewis Ryan. That could help Mark Proctor. Proctor will have his head down there. He'll be focused on Simon Walton out front. Walton driving a very good race from pole position here. Faultless stuff so far. Branko Kiprovski's fastest lap, 1 minute 46.038 by the way. Pole position time when it was much wetter, 1:51.044. Through Tower we go again. Mitchell has closed up, and Ryan, is he going to go defensive or is he going to just crack on and see if he can have a go at Mark Proctor for P2? Gary Mitchell's best results of the year, a trio of second places, one of which came last time at Alton Park. As Simon Watts makes the move here, Watts about to go through and past Jonathan Baker. He's on the inside line here. Coming up to Tower Corner, the Corvo machine does go through. John Baker sees him there, giving each other room. Close stuff nonetheless, and a very neat move. Baker will fight back for sure. John Baker, the 44-year-old from Kent. Always tempted at these rounds to say, you know, you've travelled a long way, these guys, but of course the Yorkshire drivers have to travel a long way to Brands Hatch. So all quite relative, really, as to where the rounds are. This is second, third and fourth, though. Mark Proctor second at the moment. Third place as they go on to the last lap is Lewis Ryan. Gary Mitchell, Branko Kiprovski, David Sharp is there in sixth place as well. Mitchell in the Mintex car trying to close down as well. Proctor looking, I've got to say, reasonably settled at the moment. The gap is not a huge one from the race leader, just over a second as they went through last time around. Proctor's best lap at 1:46.7. Simon Walton's best lap at 1:47.5. So Proctor, the man with the pace out of the front runners. Branko Kiprovski still with the fastest lap. He is the fifth place yellow car. So through Tower Corner they go for the last time. Gary Mitchell still chasing Lewis Ryan. Let's see whether he can close in. Branko Kiprovski in fifth. Are we going to see any changes on this final lap? It is still the REIS car, REIS, Richard Egger Insurance Services, I believe, the full title of that. Richard Egger, a good chap in the industry, and his car occupying the front position in this race, driven by Simon Walton. A little bit further back, John Baker still in the mix here from Robert Morgan, and Morgan forced his way through. I think that's the first piece of contact we've seen in this race. The safety device, his car nips through on the inside, and Simon Rudd is in behind. You've got Claire Avis in between as well, the 71 car of Claire Avis. Simon Rudd here fancies his chances maybe of getting a few extra points. Branko Kiprovski is going to go, I was going to say, for a wide run here. Gary Mitchell is going to have a go as well. Mitchell's on the grass. Branko Kiprovski sprinting down towards the line. It's Simon Walton takes to him. Mark Proctor second, and a sprint to the line, and Kiprovski beats Gary Mitchell to the line. Just that little bit of contact. We saved all the contact for the last lap of the race. So it's Simon Walton that wins. Mark Proctor, best result in the championship. Second, Lewis Ryan is third, still battling hard. This quartet of cars for the last few points, and Claire Avis fending off Simon Rudd. The championship leader, the car is not what he wants at the moment, but he's still there and still going to get some points here. I think he'll be in line for about 9 points from this race. Branko Kiprovski picks up the extra 5 for fastest lap. Here they come across the line, everybody finishing that race as well. So all 14 cars that started have finished the race, which is superb. And that win going to Simon Walton, who goes side by side. Mark Proctor, thumbs up from Mark, who sees Simon Walton take the win. His confirmation of the result, Walton from Proctor, and Ryan Kiprovski fourth fastest lap. Gary Mitchell picked on the line. He was fifth. David Sharp sixth, Richard Davis and Spencer Fortag. Then Simon Waugh, Simon Watts, Jonathan Baker, Robert Morgan, Claire Avis and Simon Rudd in 14th.
Simon, race one done and dusted. Lights to flag victory there, and a good clean one.
Yeah, good clean one. I just got, I was sat in the holding area and it was like, am I going to win or not? Am I going to win or not? And I thought I'm going to go for it. About halfway through the race, I was thinking to myself, well, I shouldn't be winning this championship. You know, I've got to let the other drivers do it. And I saw my mum and my uncle and all them on the embankment. I thought, my mum's never seen me ever win. I'm just going to go for it.
Now, Mark, I was going to catch up with you before you went out earlier, because I know these wet conditions suit you and indeed Simon quite well, but it dried up rapidly there, I was saying to Simon.
Yeah, I wanted to stay wet. I think we did the quickest lap in quali and I got it taken off me, which is fair enough. I did track limits. Yeah, I was quite happy for the rain to stay, but as it was getting drier, I wasn't here yesterday on the test day, so as it was getting drier, I was struggling because through some of the slower bits, I wasn't technically right, but the faster stuff I was able to do it through the chicanes and things.
Lewis, congratulations first of all, podium finish there. You were probably the busiest guy on the circuit there, because the lead two managed to pull away, and then everyone was in your mirrors.
Yeah, great to get a podium again. Happy with my start, really good start. I had a little look at Mark in the first corner and he told me not to come past politely, as he does. But yeah, it was a pretty busy race. Mitchell was really quick towards the end. As the track started drying, he was catching me so quickly, and in the hairpin on the last corner there, he had a little look down the inside, and I managed to sort of keep hold of it and defend it. So yeah, really ecstatic with third place, to be honest. It's good.
It's that time of the meeting between race 1 and 2 where there's a lot of work to do behind the scenes to get the cars ready. There's also a lot of banter going on in the paddock about the race we've just had and looking skyward to see whether conditions are going to improve for race 2. So is it going to be a dry setting, a wet setting or something else? To find out how race 1 went with David Sharp, here's Barry.
David, race 1 done and dusted. What was it like from your point of view?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Still a little bit rusty, but we did all right. I got 6th, so I'm happy with that. That puts me on pole for race 2. So
we couldn't really design it better, certainly for race 2. And that was a busy race for you. Most of the action is in and around you, front and behind.
Yeah, I'm a little bit rusty. I've over the last 2 years, I've only done 2 race meetings, and there's probably overtakes there that I should have took, but I was holding back a little bit. I've got the result there. I've got pole. We'll have to see how we can do in race 2.
That inner complex near the hairpin and so forth, I mean, you've got to sort of scrub the speed off there, and it's all about trying to get in where you can there. There was quite a few overtaking opportunities, but it's all about trying to get the power out again, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to be really careful on the throttle. You can go into 2nd gear, you get a lot of wheel spin, but you get a bit of a slingshot, then you've got to change to 3rd. You're in 3rd gear, you're coming out and you're labouring a little bit, so you've got to wait for it to pick itself up. So I've tried both all weekend and I still can't work out which gear's right for that corner, but if you get it right,
Yeah.
if you get it right, then you get a good slingshot down the straight. So it's all about getting the exit on that corner.
Most people were actually, as you say, having problems with traction, they were getting wheel spin as they're coming out there, and it wasn't picking up to about 3rd the way down the straight.
Yeah, I mean, I altered my car a little bit. I come away from a wet setting and went midway between a wet and dry, and I was pretty quick on the early part of the race, but the later stages, I think the other guys in front of me had just got a bit more dry setup and they started pulling away from me at the end. So I'm not fussed about that. I was happy with 6th. You know, I'm here for, I said to you earlier, I'm here for a good time, I'm here for some fun, and that was fun.
Richard, been a while since we caught up earlier part of the season with yourself and your good lady. How's the season gone so far for you?
A bit rocky. We had a few problems at Silverstone, so that kind of ripped them 3 races off. We had carb trouble. Cadwell was a new track, so difficult there. Castle Combe was a new track, so difficult there. Alton Park was good, qualified really well at Alton Park. And yeah, and then now we're here.
Just done race 1 now. You're in the mix there. That was a fairly action-packed for you.
What, starting from the back? It's not really in the mix, is it? Where it was, but I started from
where
the back.
you finished,
yes,
is it?
I started from the back because I had car troubles in qualifying. A bit disappointed because yesterday I was sort of 3rd or 4th fastest, so a bit disappointed the car mucked about in qualifying, but started at the back but managed to get to P7, but I needed to get to P6 for the reverse grid, but I didn't, so I started at the back again.
Right, still possible though, and potentially might be wet, might be dry. What's your preference?
I think of wet because it allows people to make mistakes. I know I can make them, but it allows other people to make mistakes, so you've got more of a chance, I think. So, wet.
Favourite circuits so far this season?
I enjoyed driving Cadwell Park, but it's difficult to overtake. But Cadwell Park was really good. Castle Combe was really good. But
Castle Combe was the first for virtually every driver, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But then there's a lot of drivers that have driven a lot of the tracks in other stuff. So, but I do like Crofts.
David Sharp on pole, Gary Mitchell alongside, then Branko Kiprovski and Lewis Ryan, Mark Proctor and Simon Walton, row 3. Row 4, Robert Morgan and Jonathan Baker from Simon Watson, Simon Waugh, then Spencer Fortag and Richard Avis. The last 2 who get swapped over, Simon Rudd and Claire Avis. Simon gets the luxury of the inside run here, so it'll be interesting to see where Simon Rudd can finish in this one, hopefully with the car sorted out. It was interesting to hear on the interviews, everybody knows where they want to finish so that they can get into a reverse grid position, and Richard Avis there finishing 7th in any other championship would have started 7th, but because we reverse all of the groups of 6, he gets dumped down to 12th on the grid, so he's got a lot more work to do, but a great drive from him in race number 1. Coming up from 14th on the grid after problems in qualifying into 7th position. Super drive from Richard Avis. We wish him and the other drivers well for this is the second race meeting. 5-second board is shown. Wait for the lights on the gantry. There they are with our graphic as well. And lights out. David Sharp gets away. Gary Mitchell. Branko Kiprovski is in 3rd place. 4th position is Lewis Ryan. Branko's going to have a look down the inside line on Lewis Ryan to see if he can get into Clervaux, first of all, there is room there. Lewis Ryan, clean line in the corner. Branko up into third, that's where he started. Ryan getting close to him. Mark Proctor will be right in behind as well. Now, change of cars here because Simon Rudd is now in the number 5 car. So he was in the 42, but now in the number 5. And of course, that is the car that we normally see Scott Parkin race. So it can get confusing, but of course the key thing is getting the drivers out as Gary Mitchell looks at the outside as they go into Tower, thinks better of it, chops back in. He's got to defend from Branko Kiprovski as well. Branko in third place. Number 1 dad, love that touch on the dashboard of Branko's car, and he looks pretty fired up here in third place. Lewis Ryan's dropped a bit from these guys. The conditions we were talking about at the start of this part of the programme, actually a little bit drier, and Gary Mitchell having a look at the inside of Sunny out. Can't do anything about it. Now, has that compromised his speed because Kiprovski is on the outside here? This is brave stuff from Kiprovski. Gary Mitchell will take the battle to him, and Branko holding on to the outside line. I'm not sure I've seen a pass there before. Super move to take second position. Mitchell will try and fight back. I thought he might have maybe had a nibble at the inside, but he's going to try the outside run again. It is drier than it was before. Can't get past Branko this time, so it's David Sharp out front. 44 car goes to the outside down the straight. That'll be the outside as they head into Clervaux. The important thing is they were giving each other room. Sure, we saw a couple of clatters on the last lap of race number 1. And it was racing. David Sharp has a little bit of a lock-up. Mitchell, look at that, back into second place. Mark Proctor still there ahead of Simon Walton. If you're wondering why Simon was saying about not winning the race or not wanting pole, he does... You know, he's one of the guys that runs the championship. Into pit lane comes Simon Waugh. So is that going to be a diagnostic as Kiprovski dives down the inside line? We've got yellow flags out there. That's why he's waving. Did you see the yellow flags? And that's what Gary, I think, he's upset about. Now, will that be a penalty at the end of the race? I'm pretty sure they will wave yellows on the way into that corner. The yellow car, if nothing else, matches them, and he's now chasing the race leader, David Sharp, from pole position. I suspect that may well be looked at the end, but Branko seemed to have had that speed advantage. The idea is with yellow flags that you, A, don't overtake, and B, it can mean a slower. Simon Rudd climbing through the order here, about to have a go at Spencer Fortag. Jonathan Baker up ahead of him, and Kiprovski now dicing for the lead. So irrespective of penalties, let's focus on what's going on the tarmac, and Gary Mitchell will be fired up to try and get back into second place. Simon Rudd coming through. John Baker, oh look at Rudd now, wants to have a look on the inside line. Baker gets across, defends it. Spencer Fortag on the outside line. Simon Walton in front. Simon, as I say, one of the organisers of the championship, so in some respects you can understand him maybe not wanting to take the win because it's his championship and he wants to be fair to everybody, but equally it shows that he can drive and produce a decent car to do the job as well. So personally, I don't see a problem with it. It doesn't interfere with the championship at all. It's a superb championship as Branko now looks for lead position. He's got the run here on David Sharp in the ABS car, got a very good exit out of the chicane and has got the inside here on this little kink up towards Tower and has lead position. Branko Kiprovski here from third position on the grid, got demoted at the start but has fought back and gets into the lead. We ride in car with Mark Proctor chasing Gary Mitchell, so Mark is in 5th place and it's Kiprovski who leads here at Croft. Lewis Ryan now up into 3rd. Gary Mitchell next up. Spencer Fortag piling the pressure on Mark Proctor, so Fortag having managed to get past Simon Walton, as indeed now has Simon Rudd in the number 5 car. So Branko is away. Remember, he got fastest lap in race number 1, Branko Kiprovski, and that was a 1:46. The lap times here are in the 1:43s from the off, so all very quick. as we go side by side. David Sharp side by side with Lewis Ryan. Ryan trying to go into second place, and it's Sharp that holds it at the moment. Across the line, Kiprovski still leading. Smith's still there. Ryan's going to flick through and have a look. Under braking into Clervaux. Has he got the overlap as they come down into the braking zone? He possibly has. The question is, has Sharp seen him? If he did, he didn't want to give him much room. So Lewis Ryan contents himself with third place. Spencer Fortag now ahead of Mark Proctor. Simon Rudd doing his meeting damage limitation exercise here. It is great when, with this championship, when you see a driver have a mechanical issue, the organisers sort it out. If they can't sort it out in the car, then they'll provide another car if there's one available. As we got this battle on again, and Sharp is now passed by Lewis Ryan, finds the way through. Eventually Lewis Ryan goes through the K&N Filters car up into second place. Kiprovski is a little way ahead of them now, so David Sharp down into third. Gary Mitchell is keen to get back into a potential podium slot for sure. Spencer Fortag next up. Going back to that point I was making about drivers, if the car's not working, the organisers will, if possible, sort out a substitute car, as they've done for Simon Rudd, who is actually up with the podium battling group. So are we going to see Rudd here coming through right from the back to grab a podium position? He started 13th on the grid, the last row of the grid, so that's why he's leading the championship. It's going to be fascinating to look at the points. He did get points in race 1 and some points in qualifying, and all of that will stretch his lead over Scott Parkin, who's not here this weekend. Spencer Fortag, and up into third place. Gary Mitchell goes third. Lovely move by Mitchell, but he's on the outside for the next corner as they go down the straight. David Sharp will be keen to race him. Now, how much speed has Mitchell got? Can he go around the outside line? It looks like it's going to be battle on the brakes. The 40 car grabs the curb. Mitchell straight lines the corner there, gets a better run as a result, a little bit more momentum, and nips through and up into third place. Gary Mitchell in red up into third. Arguably had nowhere to go on that previous corner where he was pushed out wide and got a straighter line up towards the chicane, which gave him the momentum to take third position. So he'll feel a little bit hard done by because of the pass that Kiprovski did on him earlier on, and maybe just had a little bit of luck there. I'm not saying lucky being pushed off, but he definitely got a faster run up towards the chicane, and capable of and deserving of another podium here in the Mintex car. So it's Branko Kiprovski leading, Lewis Ryan second, Gary Mitchell third, then David Sharp, Spencer Fortag, followed by Mark Proctor, then Simon Rudd for the last row of the grid. Super stuff. Richard Davis making ground up as well in the 77 car. Again, you know, from towards the back of the field, Richard Davis, long-standing driver in this championship, and that really stands testament to what a great competition this is. There is Spencer Fortag chasing David Sharp. David's first race, as we heard, for some time. Quitting himself very well indeed. Knows the cars well for engineering them, and under pressure from Spencer Fortag. Was there a little touch there? Certainly not intentional, certainly not anything for the clerks to get involved with. Now we've got a driving standards flag going out. There's a specific number on it which we can't see, and that is probably for track limits. Kiprovski leading, potentially heading for a first career win here. Maybe a little bit early to start talking about that, but he's got a good lead as Proctor and Fortag get stuck in. Mark Proctor, a little bit of contact between the pair of them again. Nothing malicious there, but it unsettled Spencer's car. Proctor goes through, and I guess again it might get looked at. If that was touring cars, that would be absolutely nothing at all, but the Mark just going for the gap, and Simon Rudd coming through now as well. So Spencer Fortag, man from Rochester, I think he's lost a bit of rhythm as a result of that, for sure. Interesting to see a little cut-off point there to the right of the shot, where they used to use the shorter track here at Croft, which I don't think has been used for many years. Here's Lewis Ryan in second place. Lewis in the 24 car, already a race winner so far this year. Looking to try and make it a hat-trick of second positions to add to his statistics. But Gary Mitchell will be keen to close him down. Now let's have a look at the best lap times. Mitchell is the fastest man on track, 1 minute 42.7, bit between his teeth. David Sharp next up, Mark Proctor in the Power Max car still there, Simon Rudd championship leader behind him. Here we go in car with Procky, nice wide line into the hairpin, carry the speed out. Will he be able to close up as they go down the straight on David Sharp? Simon Rudd there as well. Simon's going to explore the outside as they head down to Clerbo if he can get close enough, maybe get an overlap, try what Gary Mitchell attempted on David Sharp a couple of laps ago when he ended up going wide. The answer to that is that Rudd's not close enough at the moment to make the pass or attempt to pass on Mark Proctor. So Procky away onto the back straight once again. We're at the other end of the straight looking from Tower Corner. Here is the race leader, Branko Kiprovski. Good healthy lead at the moment over Lewis Ryan. Defensive line from David Sharp, keeping it relatively tight. It's going to slow up Mark Proctor. It will enable Simon Rudd to close in as well. And you can see in the mirror that Rudd's coming through. Simon Rudd through, past Proctor, having a go at David Sharp as well. Are they still side by side? Proctor is still fending him off. Yes, he does. Well, Simon Rudd wanted some more points out of that, but Mark Proctor managed to have enough speed to negate him. Proctor was busy looking at David Sharp for fourth place. Spencer Fortag still there as well. You can see how very evenly matched these cars are. This is exactly what the championship is about, as Rudd now gets a wide line in, dips his nose through on the inside of Mark Proctor, outside for the next corner through Barcroft and up towards Sunny Inn, and Simon Rudd's got that position now, so up into the hairpin we go again. Proctor with a little tap on the back under braking, couldn't get the car stopped quick enough. Mark there, so a tap on the back of the number 5 car and goes back through. Simon Rudd losing out now as a result. The momentum's gone. Spencer Fortag's coming in, driving standards flag going out again. Not sure if it's for contact anywhere or track limits, we don't know at this stage. We'll keep an eye on the results and see if they get amended at all. Simon Rudd trying to chase down Proctor, but fending off Spencer Fortag. He's got away, hasn't he? Spencer dropping back a little bit through the chicane. That can really dishevel a car if you get that wrong, and you've got all that grass on the outside, which can really punish you if you don't get that chicane right. Ryan and Mitchell close for second place. Gary Mitchell with the fastest lap, and he's going to have a run here and have a look, but any potential opening is closed by Lewis Ryan in second place. This is not doing those guys in second and third any favours in terms of Branko Kiprovski getting away. Branko, remember, fastest lap in race 1, so no questioning his pace, but also that of Gary Mitchell, who's in third. Proctor with bodywork hanging off the back, so Mark has had a little bit of a visitor to his rear quarters as well. So we saw him have that problem where he couldn't get the car stopped in time before going into a little bit of contact with Simon Rudd, but he's been in the wars as well. Still David Sharp in fourth place, meeting for David Sharp, and here comes Rudd having a look at Proctor. He's on the outside line as they go around the hairpin, keeps it wide. Onto the last lap they go, so the last lap board is out, and Branko Kiprovski, with a very healthy lead here, is going to be a very happy Macedonian at the end of this if he keeps the car in line. He's been faultless all weekend so far, and he leads as Proctor and Rudd are still very much racing hard. Simon Rudd might be advised just to sit and take the points at the moment. He must be thinking about that, because if you have one ropey meeting, and there are 2 more meetings left after this, Brands and Donington Park, he could potentially get another ropey meeting. No drop scores, of course, we've mentioned, and he might just want to bring the car home to the finish here and start to think about bagging points, keeping a relatively comfortable distance over Scott Parkin and Gary Mitchell. It'll be interesting to see how close Mitchell gets to Rudd in the points at the end of this. Mark Proctor still chasing David Sharp for fourth place. Simon Rudd. Good drive from Simon, as we mentioned, right off the back of the grid, starting with Claire Avis. We did lose Simon Watts from the race, unfortunately. The only non-finisher of the entire meeting, Simon Watts, so that's testament to the cars. As the race leader goes into the complex for the last time, Branko Kiprovski, here comes the trio of cars still dicing it out for fourth place, but Branko Kiprovski is going to take his first win in the Focus Cup Championship here at Donington Park. Crosses the line, he's going to be very happy indeed. There's the checker, Kiprovski wins, Lewis Ryan second, Gary Mitchell is in third place, David Sharp is fourth, we see that on board from Mark Proctor. Simon Rudd next up from Spencer Fortag and Richard Avis. Jonathan Baker is across the line next from Simon Walton, then Robert Morgan, Claire Avis and Simon Moore. But today is another first-time winner here in the Focus Cup Championship, Branko Kiprovski from Lewis Ryan. Gary Mitchell, I think, will probably be saying about that pass potentially under yellow flags, but Branko Kiprovski, the winner from Lewis Ryan. Gary Mitchell, they complete the podium. David Sharp in fourth place, with fifth position going to Simon Rudd.
Congratulations, I think your first race win there for this championship, and very well deserved.
Thank you so much. We were working hard and everything in the end pays off.
Absolutely superb move down that back straight to move into first place as well. Really good move.
I was doing just the best I can, that's it.
Now, you said you were obviously aiming for this, so now you got your first race win out of the way. You made it look pretty easy, a big gap as well.
I was managing because it doesn't work to make, you know, to go forward. I was just managing the distance, and I think that was a smart movement thanks to my mentor, Tim Sagden and Rene. Here he is present, and they were just saying you need to calm down, you have to set your mind, so you have to know where to go and what to do. So it's team's effort. So thank you guys.
You had to do it.
Great weekend, 2 podiums.
Yeah, perfect. That's a well-executed plan, isn't it?
It was a very busy race, that, wasn't it? The first half was, it could have been anyway.
It was a lot harder race than the first race. My start wasn't quite as good as in the first race, but yeah, a lot more battles in that race.
Do you prefer that?
Yeah, absolutely. Kept me busy.
And it was really about what are the sort of podium places. A lot of stuff going on behind you guys as well, but the sort of 4th to 8th battle, very close pack, but they just couldn't, you know, you guys sort of broke away.
Yeah, obviously I had a bit of fresh air in front of me with Branko, setting some really good lap times there. A lot of pressure from Mitchell sort of getting towards the end of the race. I mean, he seems to just come on so strong towards the end of the race, so hats off to him. But yeah, no, brilliant race.
Gary, great way to end the weekend there, but you had to fight for that one.
Yeah, it was hard work. Really dry again, so the grip was awesome. The guys up front were just super quick, but it was still picking the other cars off, and very, very close, door to door, wing mirror to wing mirror, and nip and tuck as we were going round. But us 3 at the front, we pulled a little bit of a lead, and it got quite comfortable. So in the end, I backed it off a little bit and just managed the temperatures and brought it back in third.
And as we said before, I mean, you came into this event championship 3rd place. Scott's not been here, you've benefited from that. Benefited also if Simon hasn't had such a good run. So good weekend.
Really, really good weekend for me points wise. I've really managed to, I think, without working it out, I've jumped Scott just with the accumulation of points. And unfortunately, Simon's had a bad weekend, which for me benefits. So I've getting a good run on points with Simon as well. So going into Brands Hatch and Donington for the end of the season is going to be quite close.
Championship points look like this. Simon Rudd with a 37-point advantage on Gary Mitchell, we just heard from. He's up to 2nd ahead of Scott Parkin, with Lewis Ryan 4th, Spencer Fortag 5th, and Charlie Barr in 6th. Join us next time at Brands Hatch.